Duel Avatar is a fusion archetype from the Raiders Requiem box that makes use of tokens to fusion summon their boss monsters. Their key card is Duel Avatar Invitation, which is the fusion spell of the deck that also generates its own fusion materials. The deck also has ways to get into their fusion monsters during their opponent's turn, so that they can use the on-summon effects of the fusion monsters to disrupt the opponent. So let's go through the cards one by one. We'll start with Duel Avatar Fist Yuhi. This is the spell searcher of the deck, so it can pop itself or just any Duel Avatar monster you control to search a Duel Avatar spell from your deck. If a face-up Duel Avatar fusion monster is destroyed by battle or an opponent's effect, you can add this card from your graveyard to the hand. Duel Avatar Fate Kokoku. This is the trap searcher, but it doesn't have to destroy a monster you control. You can just search it for free. And also, if this card is in your hand and a fusion monster is destroyed, you can special summon itself from the hand, destroy a Duel Avatar monster you control, and special summon another Duel Avatar fusion monster from your extra deck. The field spell is Perfect Sync Aun. When this card is activated, you can search a Duel Avatar monster from your deck, and also once per turn you can summon a token to your field. Since we're playing warrior monsters, we can play Rhoda. This is Duel Avatar Invitation, our main spell card of the deck. This allows us to discard a card, summon as many tokens on the field as possible, and then fusion summon 2 times. Whirlwind's Clash, just a good staple spell for a free-to-play deck. Duel Avatar Defeating Evil. This is a quick play spell that allows us to target one Duel Avatar monster we have and one card your opponent controls, and pop both of them. And also, if you popped a Duel Avatar fusion monster, you can also draw a card or banish a card from your opponent's graveyard. So if we already have Invitation in our hand and we can use his effect, we will use it to search the quick play spell. Next is the Trapped Duel Avatar Return. That is the called the Haunted of the deck. It allows us to summon our fusion monsters from our graveyard to disrupt our opponent with their on-summon effects. We're playing one Ring of Destruction because it is from the same box, and also it will trigger our skill Draw Sense low level to draw into our main searchers of the deck. We're playing 3 copies of Duel Avatar Compact. This copies a spell or trap effect from our graveyard, so we can use, for example, we can use Invitation during our opponent's turn to fusion summon a monster as disruption, or we can just copy the effect of Defeating Evil, for example, to pop another card our opponent controls. For the extra deck, we're playing only 3 fusion monsters. First of all, we have our level 8 fusion monster, Empowered Konyo. This requires 3 materials, and also one of them must be the Yuhi, the spell searcher. If this card battles, your opponent cannot activate effects until the end of the damage step, and also after this card attacks, you can bounce back a monster your opponent controls. And also, if an opponent's spell or trap targets this card, you can negate the activation. But you can only use this effect if you have 2 or more fusion monsters. So it is not really good. It only activates when it targets this card specifically. And our next fusion monster is Fists. This only requires 2 Duel Avatar monsters, so usually you will only be summoning this card using the tokens. When this card is special summoned, so not fusion summoned, it just says special summoned, so you'll be reviving this card with stuff like Duel Avatar Return to trigger that effect as well. When this card is special summoned, you can target an attack position monster your opponent controls and destroy it. And also this card cannot attack directly for the rest of the turn, so keep that in mind. If you're going second and you summon this card to clear your opponent's board, you cannot actually attack directly with this card. And also, While you control a Dual Avatar Fusion monster that is fusion summoned using an effect monster, all Dual Avatar Fusion monsters you control gain 300 attack and defense. Our last fusion monster is Dual Avatar Fate. It also uses 2 Dual Avatar monsters as material, so again, you'll usually use tokens to fusion summon this card. If a Dual Avatar Fusion monster you control will be destroyed by a card effect, you can destroy another Dual Avatar monster you control instead. But the main effect is during your main phase, during the main phase, so you can activate this effect in both players' turns. If you control a Dual Avatar Fusion monster that is fusion summoned using an effect monster as material, as a quick effect, you can negate a face-up monster that is special summoned from the extra deck. So what you will usually do is use the fusion spell and summon 3 tokens on your field. Use 2 of them to make the level 6 fist, and then use the fist and the remaining token to make your feat. So since you use the fist to make your feat, the feat will be able to use the second effect to negate your opponent's extra deck monsters. Our skill is Draw Sense low level. We can trigger it using the Ring of Destruction that we have, or if our opponent attacks us, we can just use it during our next draw phase and draw into our searchers, which can search whatever we need. So this is the expensive version of a deck. As you can see, we are playing a bit less monsters and a lot more trap cards. So if you can afford staple traps, you should play a lot of them, because this deck can consistently make their combo using only a single copy of Invitation. That's why you have a lot of space for generic staple traps. So instead of playing 3 copies of the Trap Searcher, we're only playing 1. We're playing triple Field Spell to search our main Searcher. We're playing triple Invitation, only 1 copy of Defeating Evil and 1 copy of Return, and 0 copies of the trap that copies spell or traps in the graveyard, because we don't really need that. And also, stuff like Defeating Evil is searchable really easily, so we don't have to play too many of them. And we're playing 3 Ring of Destruction, a really good trap just to trigger our skill and also pop your opponent's monsters. IDP, obviously a really good trap if you have it. And Warning Point. Extra deck, it's pretty much the same because it locks us into fusion monsters anyway, so we don't really need other monsters other than the Dual Avatar Fusion monsters. Okay, so let's go through the pros and cons of the deck. So 1, this deck is super consistent, especially for the expensive version, because there are just so many ways to get you into Invitation. The field spell searches Yuhi, and the Yuhi searches Invitation, and a single copy of Invitation gets you to the whole combo. 2, this deck has consistent access to Interruption. Dual Avatar Fate negates extra deck monsters, and also Dual Avatar Defeating Evil pops any cards in the field, and the Dual Avatar Return can be used to revive back your Dual Avatar Fist to pop an attack position monster your opponent controls. And the cons. 1, this deck is really bad at follow-up. Invitation needs a discard, so if your opponent clears your board, you still need 2 cards in your hand to start your combo again. 2, Invitation locks you into fusions, so that means you don't have a lot of flexibility for cards in the extra deck. You will be summoning the same cards over and over again, so your opponent will be prepared for it. And 3, the fusion monsters all have weird restrictions on when they could use their interruptions. For example, Feet can only negate extra deck monsters, Fist can only pop monsters in attack position, and the level 8 one can only negate spells or traps that target that card. So overall, a consistent 1-card combo that ends on 1 negate and can play a whole bunch of back row is still pretty good, but there are a lot of better options in the game that has a much better follow-up and also end on stronger monsters, stuff like Phantom Knights, Shiranui, Rose Dragons. Those can also play a lot of back row, but their follow-up is just so much better. there are not much of a reason to play this deck instead. But anyway, let's go and have a look at the replays. Okay, so we are going first, and we have combo. We have drawn Invitation. So first we will activate the field spell, grab the Trap Searcher since we already have the Spell Searcher. Is normal summon Yuki, search a spell. We'll search the Defeating Evil since we already have Invitation in hand. We activate Invitation, pitch our monster, summon 3 tokens, fusion summon into level 6 Fist, and then use the Fist and a token to make the level 5 Beat. Since we used a effective monster as the fusion material, we can negate a monster, but that doesn't matter because our opponent summons a Kaiju. That tells us that they're playing Crusaders, but that's fine. On normal summon, we will activate the trap, revive the Fist, and pop their normal summon. And with no link monsters on field, they can't make their combo, and we will just attack for lethal. And we'll pop their back row just because we can. So this time we are playing the expensive version of a deck, and we are going second. Well, this deck does prefer going first because it can set up so many interruptions, but it is still fine if we go second. Unlike a lot of other one-card combo decks, this deck isn't really too fragile in terms of how easy it is to disrupt by your opponent, because your main combo starter is a spell and not a normal summoned monster. So even if you needed to normal summon your monster to get into your spell, your main combo starter is a spell, so your opponent can't just interrupt your normal summon to stop your combo. But anyway, our opponent is playing Phantom Knights. They will be making their new Xyz monster, Dark Requiem, which has a single negate because they used their effective skill. We'll activate the field spell. We're gonna grab the Spell Searcher. We activate Invitation, pitching the Spell Searcher, summon 3 tokens, and make the Avatar Fist, and then using that 1 token and 1 card in our hand to make the Fate. And Fist effect, we will be popping the Requiem Xyz Dragon. He will try to negate, and we will negate his negate. So he will get popped, and then we can set back row. He will IDP, banishing our Fate, and also a Duel Avatar from our graveyard, but that's fine. Even though we can't attack directly the turn we activate the effect of Fist, we will just try next turn. Our opponent has our second copy of IDP, and banishes our fusion monster again. Well, that's frustrating. Well, he's trying to get into Break Sword and push for a game, but luckily we have a copy of IDP for our own. We will be taking his Silent Boots from his graveyard and banishing his Xyz monster as well. So we draw off the top another field spell that is the best draw in our deck. We will be normal summoning the Spell Searcher. We will be popping itself to search Invitation number 2, and we have a spare card in our hand to discard, so we can fusion summon our Duel Avatar fusion monsters again. We're gonna make Fizz and then make Feed using the Fizz. We're gonna attack for a bit of damage. And our opponent draws a back row. That's good for us. We're gonna make a token just because we can. And then we're gonna set a back row and try to attack, and our opponent concedes. So overall, I think this deck is okay. While I think there are better options in the game right now, this deck is comparatively pretty cheap because all of their cards are in the same box. And also, you even get Ring of Destruction in the same box, which is an extra staple that you can run in the deck. But for me personally, the deck does tend to get old really quickly because you're just summoning the same fusion monsters every single game in the exact same order. But if you're fine with that, this deck is a pretty neat option for especially new players because this deck is pretty easy to obtain. So anyway, thanks for watching, goodbye.